Hey y'all, from Spindle Mountain Mercantile, I am Heather. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's jump right in today and start making our first drop cloth Christmas tree. For project number 1, we're going to use Iron Orchid Designs stamp set Law Campaign, and we'll just be using the floral pieces. The reason my stamps are already green is because I just recorded this and I did it wrong, so I have to record it all over again. When you first remove your stamps, they feel like they're not going to come off. They're really sticky. But I have been assured they will not tear. And y'all, if anyone's going to tear them, it's going to be me. After removing the stamps from the plastic sheet, gently go over them with 220 grit sandpaper. This just makes them a little bit less smooth so they can soak up more of that ink. You only have to do this before the first time you use them. When you finish sanding, wipe off all of the dust. Iron Orchid Designs has the best stamped ink pads. The lids are really snug, so you don't have to worry about them getting contaminated. I've already filled my stamp pad with IOD's green ink called New Grass, but I'm going to show you just a little example of how one goes about doing that. I just squirt a little ink on the pad, and then I rub it in with the tip of the ink bottle. Now, I keep my stamp pads pretty loaded, and I don't use them that often, and still, I haven't had any dry out. This is Harbor Freight drop cloth that I just put through my washer and dryer like I do my regular laundry. Since I can't cut a straight line, I'm just going to rip this in half. I will start it with a little bit of a cut, and then grab each side firmly and pull it. If you don't grab firmly, it will tear the wrong direction. Before I start stamping, I'm going to fray the edges on both sides of this long strip, and to do that, you simply pull about 6 strings off of the edge. I do it on both sides because this strip will be cut in half, and these are the only part you will see when you're looking at our finished Christmas tree. I have to tell you guys, when I make this voiceover, I'm watching the video that I made, and I'm used to doing talk to text on my phone. So sometimes when I'm telling y'all what to make or how to do stuff, I'll say period or comma or question mark. So I'm like, pull 6 strings, period. Pull 6, comma, or more strings. Oh my goodness. By the way, this is some pretty good thread. You can braid it or twist it and make your own twine. So I would save it. I wouldn't throw it away. Of course, I don't throw anything away, but you might not want to either with this. You don't have to iron. You can, but it's just not going to make that much of a difference. I'm showing you right here that the surface on which I'm stamping, that's what's hidden underneath. I put this craft paper over it to make it look tidy because it's so distracting when I make videos. Anyway, that's my mess, and it's not very flat or smooth, and you want a flat, smooth surface when you stamp generally. For this project though, it doesn't really matter. I like to put the stamp down and then use the ink pad over it instead of vice versa. I like to get a whole bunch of ink on there. I want some 3-dimensional depth, and you can see here the darker spots. That's where more ink has pooled. And since this is, I'm only using one color on the whole entire tree, that's well, it's not the only way it'll get some depth, but as far as color's concerned, it is. I'm using my brayer because the surface is so wavy, but you can see the dark part where that stem was. Now I'm just going to show you what it looks like if you use a flat surface and use the stamp the right way. See how I hold down the stamp with one hand while I go over the other parts of the stamp with my other hand. When I'm done, I transfer hands and repeat it on the other side. And that is how it looks. I should have got a close-up. They're so pretty. The IOD sisters, ugh, I'm telling you, they're clever. You can see a little bit more pooling there. And I'm just layering this all over. I don't know what part's going to end up where. Actually, I have to tell you, I've not ever made one of these before. I thought of this when I was in bed. I thought, okay, what can I do with drop cloth and some more IOD? So now I'm just taking the stamp pad and marking the edges going all the way over into the fringe. We're going to cut it in half, and I tear it again because it's a straight line. This part will be hidden so you don't have to take the strings off. I just did so they wouldn't be hanging down. Now we're going to make a ruffle, and this is the only difficult part of the whole project. And it's only difficult until you learn how to make them, and then it's super easy. My mom taught me how to do this when I was a little girl. From the edge of the fabric, move in about 5 or 6 threads, and then you grab maybe 4 threads. You might even want to grab more because these break pretty easy. With your thumb and finger, hold on really tight to the thread, and then with your other hand, start pulling the fabric away from it. That first thread is super short, so you have to pinch it hard. But once it gets longer, you can wrap it around your fingers, and that gives you a little more leverage. Now, I'm going to break it here pretty quickly. Don't be discouraged if you break the, well, when you break the thread, you will break the thread. Boom. See, I just did it. Just remember, fabric is made out of thread, so you'll have a whole bunch more to work with. As the ruffle gathers up, you want to spread it out, so it's going to have a lot of bumps. You just take those bumps and you scooch them down over the fabric, like all the way away from where your fingers are holding that end thread. And you just keep working your way all the way down the fabric, and you do it until you get to the end. I'm going to speed it up now because this is pretty much what you do for the whole thing. And each time we get to a new layer during this process, I'll speed it up again. I want to show you another way to make a ruffle in case you have a sewing machine. Lay your fabric down flat and take a strong thread or a piece of yarn or a ribbon. You can use anything that's strong. And you're going to lay it down flat and zigzag. You're going to use the widest zigzag your machine does, and you go over it. So where the needle pokes down, it's over. And right there, you want to make several stitches over the end of the thread so that it won't move when you're pulling it through together. And then you just pull it right through the zigzag and it gathers up, and then you just kind of spread it out like we've been doing on this one. I like to fray the sides as well because you will see one side of each layer on the tree. Now I took a little bit too much off of this, so I'm going to show you another little trick. See how I cut that straight? Yeah, don't do that. It's kind of like when you were a little girl and you cut your own bangs and you have to go in and the hairdresser fixes it. You're going to fix it that way. You go in at an angle and just make lots of little snips. You don't want it to look straight. You want it to look ragged. For this project, we don't need to iron the drop cloth, but I thought I would show you this anyway so that next time if you do need to iron it, you can see how easy it is. I use the hottest setting and no steam. By this time, you all know I don't throw anything away, so guess what this cardboard is? Anybody? Bueller? Anyone? That's right, it's an IOD back cover. This one's from Kitschy Christmas. Isn't it cute? I was gonna use it maybe for like, I don't know, I thought I could use them like in place of stickers, but nope, we're just gonna make a Christmas tree with it. And you know what? Maybe someday somebody will look up in their Christmas tree and they'll see, what are these cute little things? And they'll think, oh, I need some IOD. So it's subliminal advertising for me. That's right. To make the tree, I pull up one corner and add a lot of hot glue. Then I roll it over so that one side is wide and one side has a little tiny point. And I keep rolling and gluing and rolling and gluing. Because I go through so much of it so quickly, I buy my glue sticks on Amazon in bulk. I will include a link to that in the description. Anytime you use the links I provide to go to my Amazon store and you purchase something, Amazon will give me a small compensation. When you're done gluing the tree, you start cutting the bottom. I cut off one big chunk and then I go in and just cut tiny bits at a time. Each time I cut off a little, I stand up the tree and make sure it's straight up and down. And for reals, you want to cut just a tiny bit at a time, because if you cut off too much, you're going to have like a 2-inch tree. Here I'm adding a little more glue just to make that edge smoother. Remember earlier when I said I had some footage I couldn't use? Well, this is from the lost footage. This is the fabric I actually stamped to make the project. I just redid that part. So I thought I would show you this part again, making the ruffle, because it's a different angle and you might get a better idea. As I make the ruffle, I keep putting it up to the tree to see how much I have and how much I need to go. But there's an easier way. You can measure 1.5 times the fabric. So you put the fabric around the tree 1.5 times, and that's how much you need for a ruffle that looks good. If you want a fuller ruffle, you can do like 2 times the size, but you don't want it too full with these tall, skinny trees. I mean, I don't. You could do it. I think that might look awesome. Whatever your preference is, do that one. So I put the glue on the fabric. I don't put it on the tree. Put it on the fabric and then hold the fabric so the glue doesn't drip on me, and wrap it around the tree. This particular piece didn't have quite enough ruffle at the end, so I just pulled some threads on the end and pushed it back the other way. I can glue a pretty straight line when it's only that long, so I did put that part of the glue on the tree. And on the rest of these, I glue down that edge. I prefer the edge glued down, but you don't want to put too much glue because it gets kind of clumpy and you can see it through the fabric. We're just going to continue making ruffles and putting them around the tree and working our way up. Now I'm just going through and cleaning it up. There's strings hanging down and there's parts where it might need just a little dab of glue to make it stick to the tree better and not be wonky. And then we're going to put the final ruffle on the top. I love using little rusty stars on projects like this. So they come with a loop so you can hang them up, and I cut the loop off, and that's why I buy my scissors really cheap in bulk. I will add a link for those if you need any scissors that are cheap, I mean, they're almost disposable, but they actually last me pretty good. My biggest problem not keeping them around is that I lose them. So anyway, I'm prying open one side of this star, and you know, you can take both sides of the star apart and then use enough glue to push them back together. The tree is pretty thick, so that's kind of hard. And with the different trees that I'm making today, I've learned a couple of different techniques. By the time I got to the last one, which I don't know if it will be the last one when I'm done editing, but I'll try to remember to say something. Anyways, on that one, I finally just cut the top into a really steep V so that it would fit better under the star, but still have enough room to actually hold the star. The question was posed to me, can I use too much hot glue? No, I cannot. Jesus used carpentry nails. My husband uses duct tape for handyman work. I use hot glue. It fixes all the things. And our first tree is done. My IOD stamped drop cloth Christmas tree. What do you think? Drop cloth Christmas tree number 2. By now you know I like to save everything, but y'all, this is a great example of why that's a good idea. I save all my scrap pieces of IOD. I have a lot of leaves, and I have some other green things too, like vegetables. Well, then I'm racking my brain like, how am I going to use all this green stuff? What on earth is... Oh wait, Christmas trees, that's right. So for the last tree I made, the first part of this video, I put the stamps on the drop cloth and then cut it into strips. For this one I cut it into strips first, and I'm concentrating the greenery at the edge that will show on the Christmas tree, and with each strip I'm putting it on the Christmas tree. Now when you see me put this piece on, look at the cardboard. You see how it is torn right there, right there. That's because I put a piece on and had to take it off because I did not gather it. My idea is just to gather it as I go along. And I mean, that worked. It does look good when I got done. I mean, it's really super cute, but it's not as smooth. I don't know how to describe it. It's like gathered and then not gathered, gathered and not gathered. When you do the method where you pull the string through, it's gathered all the way around, so the ruffle is equal. Now, you know what? You might like that wonky look for your Christmas tree. I wasn't sure if the string would go through the sticky part and the stiffness of the transfers. That's why I didn't do it. And plus, you know what? Some people might not want to go to all that trouble, so they want to know if this works. And yeah, it works. It looks a little smoother the other way, but you can do it this way. And most likely people aren't going to be looking up your Christmas tree saying, oh, it's kind of crooked here, or it's not as gathered in this place. Then you're probably going to be okay if you do it this way. I don't think anyone's going to care. All they're going to think is, oh my goodness, that is a cute, cute, cute Christmas tree. I took the two sides of the star completely apart thinking I could glue them together with the tree in the middle of it, but it didn't quite work. The tree, the cardboard where it's rolled over up there is so thick, it was hard to get the metal to stick. And let me tell you what, that hot glue, I could feel it through that metal. And you will burn yourself if you do it this way, just trust me on that. So you might want to get some of those little rubber fingertip ends at Dollar Tree. They cut circulation off of my finger, but trust me, it's better than a blister. Anyway, so they won't stay on, so I got out my brayer, you know, tomato, and I used it to really roll down the top of that Christmas tree so that it would be a little bit more flat, and then the stars would stick. As I'm editing this, I'm debating whether or not I should just remove all this so you can't see all my mistakes. And then this next part happened and I laughed out loud. And I thought, nope, leaving it in. Yeah, so when all else fails, get out the rubber mallet. And when it doesn't work, get out the hammer. And smash that Christmas tree, baby. So guess what? Now the stars will stick. You are welcome. And this is also where I learned to cut that triangle to make them to give more room for an actual glue to stick on both sides of the star. Oh my goodness. I just showed this footage to my adult son and he said, "You know, Mom, somewhere in the North Pole, an elf is crying." Oh man. And finally, this tree is done. I'm glad it looks really cute because, wow, that was something else to make. I think I'm going to put a little note in it at my shop that says, hey, you need to go and watch the YouTube video and see what a treasure you have. Oh, so nobody would know from looking at her. Isn't she cute? Let's get going with drop cloth Christmas tree number 3. This tree is getting a paint job, so we're going to start with Salty Kiss from Debi's Design Diary chalk paint. It is scrumptious, and I'm using one of my favorite brushes to do this, and you'll see it's really uneven. That's okay. I want it that way. We want it to have depth because, again, we're using the same color, and the only depth we get from color is how much color or how much paint there is. So if we have a lot of paint in one place, it'll be darker than in a section where there's not as much paint. And I am just painting it on. That's it. I'm going straight up and down. You could go across, and you guys, you could use different colors of green. You could use different colors of pink if you want a pink Christmas tree. I mean, really, the sky is the limit. The blue sky. You could make a blue Christmas tree. See there? With the first 2 trees, I learned I don't have to cut and then paint. I can just paint the whole strip all at once. And check out this fancy hammer work. You guys, this girl knows how to use a hammer. Time to make more ruffles. Do you see that shadow at the top going back and forth? Yeah, that's my remote control. My sweet husband put it on a lanyard for me so I wouldn't keep losing it. Should probably do that with some scissors, huh? You're probably tired of seeing me make so many ruffles, so I'm going to speed this way up. But I am telling you, from making 3 of these, I have realized this is the best way to do it. Although, I do think just putting them on flat might look kind of sleek. So if anybody does that, I'd love to see it. Another thing I learned making 3 tall trees in one short morning is how you roll the cardboard doesn't really matter. You can start off with a big wide bottom, or you can start off with it very skinny. You could use poster board. You could make these really tall. There's so many different ways you can do this. And if you don't want to make them, you can buy forms at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, so they're already made. But this was super easy, and that part was free. We are almost done, but I had to slow this down to show you something I learned obviously way late in the game. There I am measuring 1.5 times around on almost the last ruffle. And here I glue one end of the strip. I pull from the other end, but on this end I'm putting a lot of glue and then smashing it down. And that will keep the string from pulling through, which happens more often with short strips than it does with the long strips. And this made it so much easier to create a ruffle. Before I finish this tree, I just want to thank y'all so much for being here, and I want to remind you and myself why I started this channel. I have had people all through my life tell me how creative I am, and y'all, I'm not. I am not as creative, at least, as what people think I am. I come up with maybe like 3% of the stuff in my booth. Maybe 3% is my idea. Everything else I get from somebody else. My point is, even if you think you aren't creative, you are. All you have to do is make it. Just go make the thing. If you don't do it right, fix it. You can do this. I know you can. I know you can make stuff that makes your home beautiful and makes your heart happy. And I know you can make stuff to give to your friends or to sell and make some money so you can do more arts and crafts. I just know you can make the thing, you guys. So if you feel like you're not creative, just do it and it will follow. Creativity will come. And here is our third and final drop cloth Christmas tree. These drop cloth Christmas trees are so darling, and one of the coolest things about them is you can make them match whatever your decorating style is. If you want something simple with clean lines, you don't have to have any ruffles at all. You could use plain drop cloth. If you want something bright and bold, you could put lots of ruffles and have lots of colors. No matter your decor aesthetic, you can make these trees fit right in with your home. When I went outside to take advantage of the natural light to film my stills, I dropped one of the Christmas trees. And Aunt Thelma came running over to see what was going on, because usually when I drop something outside, it's a handful of worms for the chickens. So then Aunt Betty sees what's going on and she dashes over, and then here comes Aunt Madge waddling her way across the lawn, and Aunt Betty and Aunt Lidgie. Then Rhodey sees what's going on and he comes marching over there and he's like, "You aren't going to get between me and my girlfriends." And then he looks around and he's like, "Hey, where's the worms?" If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you like my content and you want to learn more about how you too can make stuff even when you don't think you have the confidence to do so, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. I will see you in the next video. Until then, I hope you have a great week, and as always, I hope you are blessed. Bye.